But my point in all this is not to say, hey, I'm outgoing and you should be too. What I'm trying to say is I'm outgoing and that's given me some advantages. It's also given me some disadvantages.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Jeff Heilman Project. We're so glad that you tuned in today. But before Jeff introduces himself, we have a special guest star here. If you are listening, Jeff, it's annual, it's traditional. You know what you've got to do. Invite him in the room or make the phone call that you always make every year at December 5th. Who always calls? You're leaving me hanging here. Who always calls all of the kids and calls their neighbors? The neighbors' kids. What do you do every year? Ho, ho. Oh my God. Yes.
December?
Yes. Come on.
Well, yeah, but that's not for like a couple weeks.
Today's episode is all about that. So we're
okay. Is that what today's episode's about? I'm so glad she let me know what our episode's about today
right
because
now,
I didn't know.
Right now, Andrew would add the door door sound. Thank you.
Oh, Merry Christmas!
Okay, so Andrew, you'll have to lower the volume on that a little bit. But yes, today's episode, we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship in regards to the most profitable time of the year.
It's the most profitable time.
Have you done any Christmas? I know the answer to this, but our listeners don't know. Have you done any Christmas shopping yet, Mr. Heilman?
I did. I bought myself a book.
You bought yourself a book. Typically, as per the MO of the male Heilman of the house, it's typically Christmas Eve, maybe
Sometimes
the day
I wait
before.
till New Year's. Yeah. I like to do my Christmas shopping.
But in all reality, you happen to really like the people and the crowds and the crazy.
Yeah,
and if there was somebody that would be going around with a camera trying to record the craziness of Christmas, it would be you. It would be you.
Show.
You want. It's like you take your popcorn. That GIF with Michael Jackson eating the popcorn, like that's you going around during the holidays, going to the mall.
I love it. I love people watching. I love people I like it when people get upset and just start throwing tantrums and freaking out. That's always entertaining for me. And then just the bickering that goes on between husband and wife, and then the children who are unwell. I'm like, why in a million years would you take a 3-year-old shopping at the mall on Christmas Eve? But they do it. God bless them for doing
it. And in that, before we get started with today's episode, which we're going to be talking about Christmas, retail, all that fun stuff, I've got a lot of statistics here, which I found really interesting that we could go over and talk about. How was your week?
My week it's pretty good. Today is Wednesday. We normally cut a podcast on Tuesdays, usually Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays. But today's Wednesday. We had, I think you had a dentist appointment yesterday that we pushed back on.
I did, and oh my gosh, are we going to tell them what happened at my dentist appointment? I'm so embarrassed.
I didn't bring that part up, but you can tell them.
I've been so tired because, as those of you who follow me on Instagram and Jessica Builds on Facebook, my grandfather's in the hospital. He's in hospice right now.
I was in the hospital.
You were in the hospital, and I just got back from France, and so things ever since actually October, because we did the trunk or treat, have just been like one thing after another. So I've been really tired, and so I go to the dentist yesterday, and I'm watching. Our dentist is the most amazing dentist, the best. The leather reclining.
This is not a sponsored spot, but I'm telling you, Dr. Yasugi in Willow Glen is the best.
I've got the leather
Yasugi
seat, and I'm reclined, and it's got the massager, and it's got the TV, and I'm watching HGTV, and I'm leaning back, and she's cleaning. She got through, she did the camera 1, camera 2. No, she did the all the 1, 2, 1, 2. No, I wish it were ones. The flossing thing where they measure the depth of your gum, and she did that 3, 2, and they're talking, and it's lulling me, and I've got my mouth open, and she did most of it. She's almost finished. Almost finished.
Seconds away from finishing your cleaning.
And she's flossing my bottom teeth, and next thing I hear is the highest pitch yelp, like a dog, like the dog got caught in a trap, and I'm like, what? And I had fallen asleep as she was flossing my teeth, and I bit her. The poor thing. She had her fingers in my mouth, and I guess
fell asleep. If you're asleep, you're asleep.
But why would I bite? Usually when you fall asleep, your bottom jaw just falls open. I would think it would go bigger, not maybe I don't know. Anyways, I bit her, and I feel really bad. And she got a little cut on her finger, and
sorry.
And then we had to go through the, protocol, like, do you have all this, and what's your blood type, all that stuff.
Ugh.
And she said, I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm 46 years old, and in 46 years, I've never
bit a dental hygienist in my life.
Let alone
something on my
never
bucket
fallen
list.
asleep during a teeth cleaning before. And she said, well, you win the prize, because I've been a dental hygienist for 43 years, and I've never had anybody bite me like that. So, okay, there you go.
Oh,
that's my exciting story. You can just call me Jaws now. And if you've ever fallen asleep at the dental hygienist, I want to hear about it. Tell me your story. Did you take a finger with you? So that's that, and that's how my week's been. The hospital visits back and forth, falling asleep during a dental hygienist appointment, and not yet Christmas shopping. I did a little today. I drove down to Hollister and got my coffee and did a little Christmas shopping. But yeah, so I've got some really cool statistics here that I thought you might find interesting. According to the National Retail Federation, through the census, Americans are going to spend between, how many billions do you think this year is the projected spend for retail?
It's got to be, 5% of the GDP? GDP's, 22 trillion. So 10% would be 2.2 trillion, I'm guessing. So half of 2.2 trillion would be, I would say, somewhere between 800 billion and
so
a trillion.
The projection this year is $957 to $967 billion during November through December.
What did I say? I said 800 billion to 1.2 trillion. And right in the middle of that is $1 trillion bucks.
And the Americans,
that's an amazing.
The average spending per person. So this just goes to show how many.
Give me that number again. 959
to 967.
To 967.
Within a $10 billion range there.
Jeez.
The average spend projected per person is $875. So per person. So that's how many people actually participate.
$875
in spending
a person
between November and December of this year. The article continued to say that the fourth quarter retail sales account for, on the average, 25% of the entire year's sales for a retail company. So across the board, from everything from hobby stores to grocery stores, 25% gets made during the fourth quarter or the Christmas season for the entire year. With the hobby stores being the most, they get about 35% of their year, and the grocery stores were at the bottom at 26%.
26%, but still 26% for Q4?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's linearity. That's people eat, sounds like 1% more in Q4.
Yeah,
than they do. But grocery stores operate on fractions of a percent of margin at scale. It's probably the lowest margin business on the planet, next to, I don't even know, maybe gas stations. Probably not much more than that, 'cause it's super competitive. But
There's a couple more that are pretty cool, pretty interesting. Let's see, 55%, I'm assuming, of that $875 per person, 55% of people who spend money during Christmas buy gift cards.
55%. Wow.
5%.
Yeah. We have a guy who has not been on this show yet, but a very good, close personal friend of mine, probably one of my very best friends. It's a guy named Mark Leonard. Used to play baseball for the Giants and the Orioles, and then started a career in business, working for Safeway in their Blackhawk division before they spun Blackhawk off into its own IPO.
I remember before gift cards, and it's
traveler's checks.
I just remember we didn't, you
Just
might
cash in a
you might
birthday
find
card.
the store would print out their own little like coupon or something like
Yep.
that. But
I remember
gift cards,
gift certificates.
yeah, actual gift
Yeah,
certificates.
for that store would be like the closest thing.
Yeah,
I remember like little shops would have like handwritten. They'd have to be signed by the store owner.
Yeah.
Gift certificates, but yeah, we've digitized that, so that got disrupted by gift cards.
Yeah.
And Mark ran sales for Blackhawk, and then he ran sales for their biggest competitor, which is Incom. He did that for about 10 years.
Here's this, because we've talked recently about email. You had a really great touch out from Justin Welsh this week. That was encouraging.
Shout out to Justin Welsh.
Shout out to Justin.
Woo! If anybody out there wants to learn about how, and we need to tag Justin Welsh in this on YouTube video. I have spent about $7,000 in the last 3 years on online courses on everything from digital and social media marketing and Facebook Pixel integration to Google Analytics and search engine optimization to social media marketing based on pre and post call to actions around newsletters that go out, Twitter and LinkedIn, the email marketing, the autoresponders for paid subscriber-based growth through Facebook ads that have click-throughs with a one-page landing site. And I'm not making money with this yet. It's still in process. I'm still trying to figure out how to make all the pieces go together. But that said, I've spent anywhere from, I think, $35 on the cheapest course. The most expensive course was, I think, Anik Singhal. I think I did the kicker on that for the 21-day boot camp plus the 600 hours master's degree in email marketing and ad copy. And that was like 13 or 1400 was the most. Well, then I did a professional speaking course. That was $2,000. Out of the $7,000 that I've spent in 3 years on digital and social media marketing, content creation, etc., courses, all on courses, the one that I listen to the most, the one that I've learned the most from, and the one that costs the least, which is ironic, is Justin Welsh's 2 courses on the LinkedIn operating system, how he grew his fan base on LinkedIn from zero, from a cold start 4 years ago, to I think he's at 490,000 followers on LinkedIn right now. We'll put I'll put a link in there for it, but it'll be an affiliate link, and you can bypass the affiliate link if you so choose to. You can go straight to the website, but I will put an affiliate link in for Justin Welsh's courses. One was the LinkedIn operating system, and the second was the content creation operating system. So for people that have an email newsletter or a blog, if you want to work out how to create, how to post, what to write about, how to get into a rhythm, how to build a system for that, I am absolutely fascinated by this guy. He's a couple years younger than me. He was VP of sales at a startup and grew the business from 0 to 50 million bucks. And then he broke to the entrepreneur standpoint.
Well, I'm not surprised that, saying that the lowest cost, because it has actually produced the most value, because look at the benefit that we've all received from Wikipedia, look at the benefit from Google, look at the benefit. There are a lot of things which start out as a free service or a relatively low barrier of entry service, which end up producing, and as you know, everybody who's watched or listened to our, that we constantly confirm working to learn instead of working to earn. So
you work to earn instead of work to learn, and then eventually you'll be paid for what you can do because of what you know.
100%.
Right.
So this is the motivating factor.
I was kind of fangirling over it a little earlier today because I got an email back from Justin Welsh. he was asking, he's got a new product coming out next year, and he was asking for people to provide feedback on pricing and product market fit. And I signed up for the email distribution for the pre-launch because I wanted to see how he was doing it and marketing it. And I emailed him back some feedback. I probably spent an hour curating, which, by the way, if you're out there and you want to get a hold of somebody that you really like and you want to send them an email, take 2 hours to really produce good copy on that.
For sure.
And he emailed me back within a couple hours. So if you have a guy, he made $5.2 million this year. That's at top line revenue in a business that operates at 97% margin, which means he's spending 15 grand a year in tools. And the other $5.185 million that he's making either goes in his pocket or goes to the government in the form of tax. He has 0 employees, works part-time from his farm in New York. And I think it's just one of the most badass mofos on social that there is. He's like Gary Vee with a set of IKEA instructions. And his course, I think, is $120 per course, which, if that sounds high for you guys, I totally get it. Sometimes he runs discounts for holidays or based on economic pressure. But I'm telling you, it is absolutely, without a doubt, worth all I've spent on those courses, both.
My point in bringing this whole thing up is that you have yet to publish your first email newsletter. We've talked about it. We're going to produce it. We're going to focus it on the humanities. But here is the call to act. Here's the sense of urgency. The sense of urgency is, according to the statistics, 68% of the people who receive email pay more attention to email in this month. 68% of the people pay closer attention, more attention to email because of all of the offers and the ads and the holiday discounts that they're getting. So there's no better season, you, Jeff, or anybody listening, that if you're going to begin to launch an ad campaign or email, there's no better season than the season that we're in right now, because 68% are more likely to open their emails and to check their emails for new emails this month than any other month before. So
amazing. I did not know that.
So get cracking.
And let's be honest. If you have 2 billion Facebook users, it's a great place to do ads if you want to do paid for ads. I think there are 4 million email accounts.
Well,
4 billion. Sorry, 4 billion
23%
email accounts worldwide.
This year, 23% will rely on social media to make their financial purchasing decisions.
23% rely on social.
And where is it? I have it right here. 37% of Gen Zers will mainly source their gifts from Instagram.
37%?
37%. We're almost at 50%. I mean, that's nearly 40% of
Instagram.
Of Gen Zers will be relying, and this is not just shopping through Instagram, they will be relying on the suggestions based through social media platforms in order to make their decisions based on what's hot, what's new, what's trending, and let's purchase that. As a matter of fact, to prove that it's only going up and to the right, in 2019, the sales, let's see, where is it? I wrote it down. 2012, we Americans spent $567 billion during fourth quarter, as compared to in 2020, just a short 8 years later, $789.4 billion, despite the pandemic.
Wow, that's $221 billion.
Yes.
Increase in an 8-year period of time. And that's just discretionary spending on Christmas.
And what we're seeing is projected for this year. What we had originally began with conversation was 967 as the projection for this year.
967 in just 3 years.
Yes.
To get an increase of almost another $200 billion in just 3 years.
And so since our whole entire premise here at the Jeff Heilman Project is to encourage entrepreneurship, is to encourage you to go into business and be into business, I recognize, and we both recognize, that while it might be concerning to go into business for yourself or have a product or whatever, what have you, the trajectory is that people are not slowing down in their spending. People are getting as eager as they have ever been in order to participate in fourth quarter festivities of whatever you want to call it. commercialism or materialism or consumerism. Things are speeding up, and that doesn't mean that we're encouraging you to go into debt and go spend and do all that stuff in order to purchase. But we are encouraging you to go be in your own business and get part of that. Take some of this off of the table, because there's a lot going out that you can also take part in if you've been ever wanting to open a business. I mean, we are seeing so many, especially in this area, and so many of the, farm to table level experiences, boutique centered and gentrified businesses that are offering something unique and something different and something handmade, or something that is a different gift, because people don't want to just go and buy something that everybody else has. And so please let us encourage you with these numbers to say, strike while the iron is hot. You definitely have an opportunity right now.
I think people need to recognize that the tools that are available today for entrepreneurship mean you don't ever have to talk to another human being.
Hey everybody, this is Jessica. I'm so excited to offer to you this new service and this ability that you have to text in your questions, comments. Maybe you have some situations that you'd love for Jeff and Jessica to try to tackle along with you. You can text us now at 203-646-1472. Your phone carrier may have standard rates that apply, it being a text, but this is a free service from us to you, in which we would like to participate with you in an ongoing conversation about how we can help and what we can possibly do for you. Looking forward to hearing from you soon.
So many times people think of entrepreneurship and they think, well, I'm not salesy, or I'm not outgoing. Well, I don't like talking to people. I don't want to do public speaking. I don't want to be the public face of a business, or I don't want to be in the public eye at all, or I don't want my kids in the public eye, or I'm not salesy, or I don't like convincing people of stuff. Look, that's okay. Let's bring the humanities to entrepreneurship. Like, can we talk about the difference between your disc profile or your red, yellow, green, blue color? All of that stuff is bullshit as far as an excuse for why you can't be in your own business. It's total bullshit. Quit making excuses. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am fine the way that I am. I can do something to serve other people. One example, and it happens to be a Justin Welsh example, was he sat down and said, how I built a 6-figure business with no money in 27 minutes, start to finish. And he talked about all the different tools, most of which were free, that allowed him to create a lead funnel and connection service for local dog walking. I thought it was a fascinating use case. It was 7 or 8 tools, almost all of which were free. The total out-of-pocket cost was maybe $150, $200 max to start a business that you could scale to $100,000 a year without ever talking to a customer or ever talking to somebody that walks dogs. And you could outsource any support, or you want your money back? Fine, here's your money back.
Pause for a second. But you still have to go get the, like, you have to show up to the door to actually walk the dog. Or are you saying that they're doing it?
The entrepreneur doesn't have to do any of that.
Are you saying that the suggestion was that they put it together and then they
run ads?
Outsource? Is it a middleman type person?
Yeah, it's a middleman. No, the entrepreneur is the middleman.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
There's people out there who would walk dogs.
Right.
And there's people out there who want their dogs walked.
Right.
And he built a model that showed how he literally started this business from zero.
So did he talk to the people? Did he connect? Is he a connector?
Yeah.
So he has
the software. The software connects people.
Oh, okay.
The software, the websites, the ads, the newsletter, all of that does it for you. All I'm saying is that if you don't like talking to people and you say, well, I could never start a business because I'm not salesy. Now, I happen to like talking to people.
Me too.
I enjoy it. I do it on the podcast every week. We do it at the house. I learn by talking. It's like sonar for me. I'm talking. Yesterday, we were talking. I'm sitting here doing some stuff, and you're like, I need quiet because the words that you're using pointed at the paper. You're not even talking to me.
Read, and you
She's
were
trying
talking
to read,
out
and I'm
loud.
talking out loud to myself. I wasn't talking to anybody else.
And I can't read and listen to words at the same time.
And that's totally fine because I can't have a conversation with somebody and listen to her interject or interrupt if she needs. So I have to stop this conversation and then go to her, or I can go to text messages and talk to somebody. That's okay. But we all have different ways of processing information. I process stuff by talking. I learn by talking. It's radar, it's sonar going out there. And when it bounces back, I get feedback. And then I get a three-dimensional picture by sending that stuff out. But not everybody is like that.
Here's my concern, though. And as a mom, we want to help encourage people to not be afraid to talk to people. So how?
Yeah, but if they are afraid to talk to people, it doesn't mean they can't be an entrepreneur. That's my point.
I agree, but there seems to be that there's always a moment where if you're a hermit and you're writing books and you're a writer and you can write books and you can support yourself writing a book, you still have to give that book to somebody. You still have to talk to a publisher. You still have to, or you can give it. Even if you're giving it to your sister, you have to give it to somebody. There has to be human connection. I would hope that you would be encouraging human connection.
I'm not discouraging human connection. What I am saying is we're already living in hibernation. Mm-hmm. COVID changed the world. I have not been on an airplane for a work meeting in 3 years, and I used to be on 5 to 6 flights a week.
So how does Justin we're doing a topical study here because you're the one that did it. Study. How does Justin suggest the hermit who has zero contacts?
He's not a hermit, by the way.
No, I'm saying if you were to, he's trying to encourage a hermit to be in business.
Yes.
How does he suggest a hermit who has zero contacts build his platform in order to have to have any emails to send out? To who to send out to? Does he buy do you buy a list?
Systematizing the process of creating, editing, curating, and posting content on social media, specifically LinkedIn.
But you have no friends because you're a hermit and you have no contacts and you have no. You open.
You don't need to talk to anybody to have.
Day one Instagram, zero followers.
Okay, day one. I don't know Instagram as well as you guys do, but let's say LinkedIn and Twitter.
Okay, like I'm starting out at zero. And
Justin Welsh started out with 0 LinkedIn followers 4 years ago, and now has almost a half a million people.
Step through not having to talk to somebody in person, which is cool because you're right. Like and you know what I like about it? I like about it the fact that it could be at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I can be sending out inbox messages. But there has to be a moment where you're going out and you're reaching out to people. You even if it's behind a screen or at a keyboard or 1 o'clock in the morning, you're going to have to. Okay, so how do you get your first follower or your first person on LinkedIn?
How do you first follower on LinkedIn? I honestly don't know because I got 300 or 400 invites from people in my inbox in a period of a couple of weeks, and I said I should probably join. So I started out with 400 or 500 followers.
But you're pretty. I mean, you talk to people and you like people.
I talk to people, but I didn't talk to people to start my LinkedIn profile. Okay. If somebody is starting brand new on LinkedIn, I would say go through your contacts list. I mean, there's a app. The app will go and pull your contacts out of your phone and reach out to them for you.
Because the reality is everybody knows.
Everybody knows a couple hundred people. Yeah. Doesn't mean they're friends.
And I think that's probably where I'm trying to get to right now.
I don't know anybody that doesn't know 50 people.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody knows some people.
If you have one best friend, you probably have 50 people that you know. If you have 50 people that you know, you got 25 phone numbers. And if you're listening to this podcast and you don't have 25 numbers in your phone and you're 6 years old, I would say, first of all, talk to your parents before you listen to this podcast. Might be explicit content.
But to your point is the algorithms and the suggestions have gotten so
Software
good
is there
that
for
when I call Dr. Yasugi and book my dentist appointment, which I'm going to hopefully not bite, then make my next dentist appointment in 6 months and not fall asleep. the algorithms are so good that they will see who works in that office, and then they might even suggest to you people to follow or suggest connections based on a retail phone call. If I call Nordstrom, then your phone's already, if you want to call it listening, data mining, whatever you want to do, it's gonna attempt to make connections because the software is there to make connections.
Grant Cardone was stripped of his identity, his cell phone, his money, his contacts. He was dropped off, shaved his head, dropped him off in a town he'd never heard of before, in a state he'd never even been to. And in 90 days, he had built from living in a truck, dropped off with a blank cell phone and a $100 bill. In 90 days, he sold, he had a valuation on the business that he built from scratch for $5.5 million. The goal in Undercover Billionaire was that he would be able to build the business to $1 million in 90 days. He built it to $5.5 million in 90 days in a town that was depressed financially.
But don't you think that takes some level of ambition and personality? Like he's got it. He's gregarious,
He's certainly been successful.
Right?
He's certainly been successful in other businesses. My point is that if people don't have enough ambition to sign up for LinkedIn and start reaching out to people, then let's start with listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
Let's start with reading memes from successful people that you can follow on social media, even if you're not reaching out. That's how we all started. I mean, I was shy. I mean, I like talking to people, but I was pretty shy when it came to business, and I didn't know anything about sales when I got started in 1994. I had never been in sales before. I didn't know anybody who had made any money. I'd never met anybody that was successful. I didn't really even know what success was. I just knew I wanted a Ferrari and to marry a beautiful woman. And we got you got me.
Hey, the Ferrari's on its way.
The Ferrari's on its way, right? But we've had lots of nice cars. We've had lots of great dreams that have come true. The Ferrari is just not, when you're raising 7 kids and you're climbing up through the ranks, the Ferrari is not anywhere on the top like 50 things that you want to do once you become a dad. But my point in all this is not to say, hey, I'm outgoing and you should be too. What I'm trying to say is I'm outgoing and that's given me some advantages. It's also given me some disadvantages. The disadvantages are, if you can't read the room, it doesn't matter how good you are at talking. Mm-hmm. If you're not service-oriented and trying to make a contribution to other people, it doesn't matter how good-looking or tall or whatever, how perfect your hair or your teeth. Nobody gives a rip about the fancy, super salesy, talky person until that person has made a connection with the people in the room. And oftentimes, it's the introverted person who does not like making cold calls, does not like talking in front of people. Those people oftentimes are much better at connecting with people in a sales capacity because they're introverted and vulnerable and less of a threat and not intimidating. So all I'm saying is that the tools exist now that anybody can build a side income of I think Justin's stats were 80% of the people that had taken his courses were not full-time in their own business yet. Well, I would be in that 80% category, right? But that means that 20% of the people that taken his courses are full-time in their own business, many of whom got that way because of online courses that taught them about the tools that are available. Most of those tools are free to start. I mean, you can get a ClickFunnels account for free for 60 days. You can get a GetResponse account for free for 60 days, and you can get $300 or $400 from Amazon, Facebook, and other vendors of free ads to run. So you don't even need to pay for ads in the beginning. So to be able to put these things together, does it take work? Yes. Does it take study? Yes. But does it take talking to people or being outgoing or being ambitious? Or it doesn't anymore. The tools are available. The courses are available. You can amalgamate an education about how to make money online up to $100,000 or $200,000 a year, whatever your ambition level is. Some people make $1 million a year. Justin Welsh made $5.2 million last year in a business he started 4 years ago with no followers and no email addresses.
So how do you
And he doesn't pay for ads, and he doesn't have employees.
Considering our podcast in specific we focus on the humanities, which means the art and the aesthetics and the beauty of encouraging people and the simplicity
of being in business.
So how would you say that you would bring humanities into a situation like that where you don't need to talk to people, you don't need to do this, you don't need to, is it to build up the business so that you can have that thing going on autopilot by itself, and then you can go to Lake Como and do all the beautiful things? Or is there a way to marry the two to where you now have humanities as well as, how would you couple the two?
Three steps that I can tell you definitively are starting to make sense for me as we do this. Number one, pick your sub niche. Now, pick an area of interest. For me, it's entrepreneurship. And then pick a niche, which is digital entrepreneurs. And then pick a sub niche, which is the humanities related to digital entrepreneurship. So we are digitally entrepreneurs with regard to the podcast and the email newsletter, the Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitter posts. And then the sub niche is related to the humanities. So that's my sub niche, is that the human aspect, coffee cups and paper and pretty things, beautiful things, nice socks, nice shoes. Like we appreciate the aesthetic element of the humanities, whether it's food or cooking or art. So number one, pick a sub niche. Number two, systematize your process for content creation, which is put a time in the calendar. Each week, we cut a podcast on either Tuesdays or Wednesday afternoons between 4 and 5:30. It's consistent. Andrew has been shipping podcast audio version on Friday mornings for a year. He does every Tuesday morning because he takes the weekend to edit the video because there's 3 cameras versus 1 audio file. And he does the editing and posts religiously. I think we've missed 1 week because you were out of town in Paris in a year of a podcast. So he does that every Tuesday morning. It goes live on YouTube. You have what time do the daily reels and shorts post on Instagram and YouTube, Andrew?
It's normally 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. He's posted for months and months, right? So systematize that process so that it becomes easier. Now, I'm fortunate because all I got to do is sit up here and talk. Jessica does all the research and program and project management for the show. Andrew does all of the recording, the editing, the splicing, the posting and uplifting. So we've got this 3-person team. That's my advantage, right? But I don't have a lot of time. Some of you have a lot of time. I work 80 to 90 hours a week. So for me to sit down once a week for an hour and do a podcast, I need 3 people to do it because I don't have 5 hours, 8 hours to edit. Some of you do have 5 to 8 hours to edit, or you know somebody who can help you and you build a team that way. So use what you have. I remember Rich DeVos did a tape back in our Amway days back in the late 90s. He did a tape called Use What You Got Till You Get What You Want.
Right.
I love that. So number one, pick your sub niche. Number two, systematize your process for content creation and pick your platform. And then number three, post and then respond to comments so that you get feedback from people on what you actually are doing. And what will happen from that process is you'll be able to start to cater the content to your audience and cater the content to your own voice. You know, I'm not afraid of saying a swear word or what somebody's going to think on my podcast. But the first couple of weeks that I push send, I mean, it's terrifying.
You get used to it.
It was terrifying. You know, I don't even remember the first episode or how good they were. I think they're getting better. But the main reason why it feels like they're getting better is because I'm more comfortable just talking about these types of things because we've done it and done it and done it and done it. And the feedback that we're getting, there's a lot of friends of mine who I've texted these out to, and then I'll call them and say, oh, I listened to your podcast. And it's part of the conversation now. When I was interviewing for the job, a lot of the people that were interviewing me were like, hey, I listened to your podcast before we moved you forward in the hiring process. Or people at work are like, yeah, man, you know that Jeff's got a podcast. He's almost 40. You know, I'm just a normal person. I'm the same normal guy that I was a year ago, except that we've been consistent in producing content along the lines of our sub-niche and to an audience that we care deeply about adding value to. And we've continued to grow our subscriber base. We had like, I don't know, 100 plus downloads total in aggregate in a period of a week, including but not limited to the first audio podcast we had a couple of weeks ago. We saw that, and it was like
it was 81 for the week, 81 downloads.
81 downloads for the week on the audio side, but there were only like 10 that were from that episode, which means the other 70 plus, 7 times more people than listened to that week's podcast actually downloaded and listened to previous episodes of the Jeff Heilman Project on iTunes and Spotify and Overwatch, depending. I don't know if that's compared.
Overwatch? What's
Overwatch? Isn't that the other one?
Overwatch.
Overcast. Sorry. Are we on Overcast?
Overcast. Yeah.
Sorry, Overwatch
Andrew's nodding his head.
Overwatch is a video game, right?
I'm thinking Fortnite, Overwatch. Wait.
No. Overcast. Overcast is the third. Sorry for those of you on the Overcast, but we don't forget about you. We still post on your platform, even though. But the point being is that if you just figure out what your sub niche is, which is something that you're interested in, and then a group within that, and then a group within that, and then focus your effort on that sub niche, systematize your process for content creation, and then be consistent, post and interact and engage with your audience, what that will do is it'll begin a conversation. Because what is all this crap about with digital and social media marketing? It is about getting people talking to you and about you to other people. So you need to take a crowbar and stuff it into the gap that the door exists and crowbar that thing open. I don't care if it's getting on Instagram in the middle of the night and having conversations. I can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with people that I follow on LinkedIn that have huge followings, and I will get in and I'll like 20, 30, 40, 50 people's posts, and I'll comment little likes and stuff, and I'll get 3, 4 invites, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because I'm engaging in the conversation. And then I get 4, 5, 6, 7 people. Then they come and they start liking my stuff. I start liking their stuff. And then I start promoting other people's content. I mean, everybody that you know that you like on social media posts at a certain time of day or a certain time of week. Everybody. I do it. Everybody does it. They post at a certain point. Well, one of the things that Justin does, what I think is brilliant, is he'll post, and then for an hour, he'll stay and respond to every single comment on LinkedIn for that hour after he posts. And it 6, 7, 800 comments on stuff, and it's going. And then he shuts it off because he has his business hour.
That's a pretty standard practice. You'll see on pretty much most of the verified accounts. You'll see a conversation going on with the person that posts. If you go through the comments,
in the beginning, they'll stay on and comment.
There may be like 50 or whatever comments, and then it goes dark and there's no more comments moving forward.
That's right. But you'll have 200 or 300 comments versus a lot of times people do hit or miss stuff on LinkedIn, and they'll post and they'll get 2 or 3 comments and 10 or 15 likes.
Yeah, it's the initial awareness to that post, and that drives it, keeps it up. It keeps it at the top. Keeps it at the top of the feed.
It keeps it at the top, yeah.
And so as long as it stays at the top of the feed because people are talking about it, then it blocks the other things that are not getting commented on. Those go down on the list of things. So interestingly enough, I guess according to the people that purchase, 66% will do research online before they buy it in the store. So that's another indicator that people are using their computer. They're in front of their email. They're using their computers. They're searching. They have an idea, or they've got somebody comment it. They're using social media for the suggestion. So let's say you open up your Instagram and you see a suggestion for a new Hydro Flask, and then they'll take that, green Hydro Flask, and they'll go to Google and they'll put green Hydro Flask in the Google, and they'll search it, and they'll see that there's 25 different green Hydro Flask bottles, and then they're going to look and they're going to say, well, where can I pick that up within a 5-mile radius of my house? So they're spending a lot more time in front of the screen, and that to the entrepreneur who's looking to say, hey, I want to get out of my current job. I want to get out of corporate America. I want to get out of the rut. I want to do something.
Or I just want to make
$2
or $3 grand a month so I can get a nicer car,
side
or
income, pay
put
my
some
bills.
money away. I mean, it doesn't have to be. We talk about people making $5 million. It's mind-boggling to me. I have a hard time imagining putting $400,000 a month in my checking account with no employees. That's difficult for me, and I've made plenty of money. We've had plenty of money for a long time. $5 million a lot. That sounds like a lot, but most people, I mean, probably not most people listening here, but the average 2-income family in the United States of America is like 65 grand, with 2 people working 40-hour jobs and putting their kids in daycare and public school. $65,000. That's 6 grand, maybe 5 grand a month before taxes. Call it 4 grand a month after taxes. You pay for everything you got. Most people at the end of the month, if they're lucky, have $300 to $400 left. If you made $500 online for you and $500 online for your spouse by just doing reels on Instagram, you would take your discretionary income at $300 to $400 a month and literally quadruple it, and have the money to go to Disneyland and the money to pay off the car and the credit cards and the money for Christmas and the money to fly to grandma's house in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And still have money left over at the end of the year.
And hopefully to anybody.
Entrepreneurship
Anybody who's
is
listening.
the goose that lays the golden egg in this country. And if you're not participating in it, if you're only an observer, then there's no excuse, because the tools are there to learn how to do it, and we'll help you. And that's what we're here for.
And let me also encourage those who are listening that I am not a digital media, social media person.
Me neither.
I am brick and
I'm working
mortar.
on my email newsletter for a year.
I am brick and mortar all the way. I dream about, ever since I was a little girl, I would set up store in my living room, and I like tactical brick and mortar. I'm in conversation right now with talking to somebody about
we're looking at real estate right now.
Commercial real estate for the business that I've had in my heart for my whole life. So, digital, the point of this entire conversation as we close out is that retail's not going away. That people have needs, and
high-end,
people
boutique,
people want to spend their money, and they want to spend their money with you. They want to
talk to an owner.
They want to know who they're dealing with. They want to feel like they're part of a community, feel like they're part of a family. We drive 30 minutes to get to the church that we attend, and we pass 100 different churches.
An hour and a half to go to coffee.
We drive past 100
nuggets or whatever.
100 churches, because the church that we're going to feels and is a family.
That's right.
We will go out of our way.
Shout out to Pastor Adam.
We will go out of our way to go to Campbell to eat at this Italian restaurant because the second we walk in, he knows us by name.
Yeah. Who doesn't love that?
The business that I'm looking to invest in and build is a business that's going to be centered on everybody knowing each other and being able to do that. So the point is that whether you choose digital marketing and can get a side income doing that, a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there, take it as far as you want to go. The tools are out there for you. If you want to go into commercial real estate and take advantage of the somewhat hurting economy after the pandemic, with a lot of brick and mortar buildings that are available for lease,
what people are using them for,
and the shift, then do that. Become a part of that. Now is the time. Strike while the iron is hot.
Learn how to add value to stuff.
If it keeps going the direction that it has been going, and I pray it does. I pray that the economy doesn't fall out. We end up going into like a massive.
It'll be fine.
An industrial revolution, not recession. If it keeps going, then we're going to go from 957 billion to $1 trillion by next year.
It'll be $1 trillion.
$1.5 trillion of spending. So now is the time. Now is the season. Let us encourage you that you absolutely can go and do and be the Santa Claus for your very own generation.
Closing comments, Mrs. Heilman.
Closing comment is that the call to action to anybody who is listening would be to sit down with a cup of tea or a coffee, get a piece of paper and a pen, and whatever idea that you have ever had, even if it was from being a little kid and you dreamed of selling, mud pies on the side of the road, any idea that you have ever had your whole entire life, get it on a piece of paper and write down those ideas. And it doesn't cost anything to write down the ideas for the businesses that you someday would like to see, whether somebody else creates them and you get to have like the, glow in the dark remote control, or whether you make the glow in the dark remote control. Write it down on a piece of paper, get your brain going and think about all of the ways that you could potentially be in business for yourself in the future. Just write it down.
Yeah, and I would say that you're in business for yourself as soon as you take out that piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan Rome says, if you don't know what to think about, don't know what to draw, and you need to get started, draw a circle and name it.
There you go.
You could literally take out a piece of paper and you could draw a circle and name it My New Business. And in my opinion, all physical manifestation of wealth is a function of thinking and sustained thought. If you can take out a piece of paper, how do you get started in business? Take out a piece of paper, draw a circle, and call it My New Business. And you could even go put a little light bulb inside of it like that and say, all right, there's my business. I'm going to get an idea. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to believe that I can go get that idea. And when you start a business, let's say this. If you never start a business, you will always lose, in my opinion, financially from where you could be, because you will be limited to cashing checks that somebody else determines what you're worth, because you're trading hours for dollars. But once you say, I can trade something more valuable than my hours, which is my ideas, my curation of content, my curation of a network, a collaboration or management of services or products to be delivered, I can add more value than I've been adding so far. And that value is infinitely scalable to where you can afford an airplane like the one flying overhead right now. That value is infinitely more scalable when you own your own business, because there's nobody setting a limit. Even in my job in sales, there's somebody sitting there going, we're paying this guy how much? How much are we paying this guy? Do we really have to pay this guy that much money to close these business? And any time you're in a situation where you've got somebody who's paid to keep you from making money, chances are you're not making as much as you should. Thanks for being with us, everybody. This is Jeff Heilman at the Jeff Heilman Project with Jeff, Jessica,
and Andrew. Hey,
producing the show. Thanks for being with us.
See you. We'll be talking with you next week.
See you
and
next time.
happy Merry Christmas.
Thanks. Bye.